Hello everyone, happy National Poetry Month. You're going to see this on day 7? Friday's the 7th. No, Friday would be the 8th. I can't do math. Today is the 5th, and I'm recording this. Hope you all are enjoying. If you're following me on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, what I'm going to do is I might make a link tree, but I keep my name down there in the description box of. It's the same name with all of them. I am Kelicious, because once I stick to something, I stick to it. I'm surprised I didn't make my YouTube name I am Kelicious, but here we are. But yeah, so today I'm going to talk about this book right here, which is going to be reversed. It's the Friendship Poems of Rumi. I hope I'm saying his name right. So usually I would make like notes about him, but the introduction was pretty good for this book. So I'm just going to read that to give you a little bit of background on him. All right, I'm going to butcher this name because I didn't look it up. And on Wikipedia, this name they give him in the beginning is shorter than what is in the book. So Jalaluddin Muhammad Balki Rumi. Say that 5 times fast. I cannot. I was born in 1207, a long time ago, in the city of Balkh, which is present-day Afghanistan. So that's nice to know. He and his family fled from invading Mongols and settled in Konya. Once a small town, it is now a major Turkish city. He lived the rest of his life studying languages, science, logic, and Islamic philosophy, which I'm just going to make a slight note. I think they talk about it in the book, but he is very religious as far as Islamic teachings go. He talks about God a lot. So I'm just going to say that. Just a preview. He was a respected Islamic scholar and teacher on a steadfast course until one day he met great upheaval in the form of Shams Tabrizi, a Sufi master who came to Konya in 1244. Rumi was drawn to Shams, becoming his student and undergoing a profound transformation. The two spent an abundance of time together philosophizing, say that 5 times fast too, and conversing until Shams was sent away to Syria, breaking Rumi's heart. Shams came back only to disappear again, this time forever, and his separation to Rumi a manifestation of divine heartbreak. While he felt pain and separation, he took great joy from the union. He knew that while he felt pain, he was never really separated from Shams or God. It was all this love, heartbreak, and longing that turned his soul to poetry. In his life, he created 65,000 verses, many of which are Bayat or quatrains, which I did notice when I read it. His poems were quoted by his students as he recited them while whirling in an ecstatic dervish dance. Man had the moves. The poetry was collected into 2 books: Dawin-i-Shams Tabrizi, the collection of poetry of Shams, and Mathnawi, spiritual couplets. Okay. Rumi remained a beloved and respected mystic throughout his life, and countless readers today consider him to be the very best Parisian poet of his or any time. He reached what he called the roots of the divine, meaning his poetry captures a crucial aspect of Islam and many other religions, which is that people can find bliss and freedom through pure love. This collection of his poetry is to inspire companionship is gathered from non-literal translations of Nadir Kalali. They talk about him in the back of the book. The poems selected for this volume appear in 2 parts: Fountain of Fire and Dancing the Flame, which contains poems chosen from Kalali's, I feel like I'm not saying that right, Khalili's book of the same names. So that's a little bit about him and about this book. So the first part, which is going to be backwards, of course, is the Fountain of Fire. So what I'm going to do Let me see if I had any. I'm going to read one of my favorite poems from each section, which the first section I feel like was kind of short. Let me see if I can find the end of this section. So the first section, Fountain of Fire, wasn't that long. But what I do want to say, when I read this, because I read this book today, even though I got it like at the beginning of the month. No, I got it in March, actually, the beginning of March. I'm trying to see what the end part is, because it's not a very long section. Let me check the table of contents, because now I can't find it. Yeah, this is from page 8 to page 18. And then it just transitions to like the rest of the book being under the other category. Dancing with the Flame. So I'm going to talk about my favorites. As you can see, it's only like 10 pages of this section. I don't know why it's sectioned like this, but maybe that's how it was in Khalili's book. Maybe we're going to find out. But here we go. I'm going to read, well, I guess I only had, so I did color coordinate my little tabs. These are like from The Great Gatsby. So Daisy, this is Daisy. She's like my favorites, but then, what is the guy's name? Nick? In the red, yeah. I have the little bookmark thing here. So Nick right here. These are where I have my favorites, and then this cheesecake is from Golden Girls. That's my favorite of the whole book. But I also have a second favorite of the whole book. But I'm going to read. So in the beginning of this book, I feel like there are longer poems, and they're like more passionate, I feel like. So I'm going to read Come On, Darling. So I don't know if, because he would recite them aloud. So they don't really have titles. The titles are like from the first line of all the poems. So here we go. Come on, darling, pass me one more cup. Bestowed on my soul tranquility, tranquility once more. And do it now. Today is my turn. I can wait no more for the unknown tomorrow. If I have to, let's see if I can talk. If you have as my share, even a small trace of grace, give it to me now. Don't make me wait. Let me go free. Help me break out from this new trap I've fallen into. Don't hand me over to the monster of my thoughts. My thoughts are another trap, another waiting vampire. Take my only belongings, take them to the pawn shop, pledge them once more, and bring me the last cup. I thought that was so interesting, like, because this is supposed to be about friendship, you know, and to me, this kind of felt like, you know, he's calling his friend darling, and I feel like a lot of friendships kind of border on, especially women friendships, but I feel like men friendships also border on the romantic as well. You know, there's bromance. So there's that. So this one just kind of feels like they want someone to, like Rumi wanted someone to be there for him so that he wouldn't get stuck in his thoughts. It kind of sounds like he was having, I don't know if they would diagnose people with depression back then, but it sounded like he was not having a good day. So he's like, just give me a cup, you know. I'm thinking the cup is like metaphor for like, be there for me, and just, I don't care about all the things that I have as long as you're here with me. So be here with me. So I found that really interesting. That's one of my favorites in the first section, which is like 10 pages long. I don't know why that was like only like that. But I feel like in the beginning, the first poems are like really like long and romantic. I mean, I feel like you could have a friend as a soulmate, so I can see how it can be like romantic. You know what I mean? I'm going to read one more from this section because I feel like I have a lot of favorites, because the other section is like the rest of the book. So it's not as much as the first section, but these ones are like a lot longer. So I'm not sure why the collections were like, some were longer and then the rest of the book, a lot of them were short. So this one's called Where Have You Gone? So I think this is like directly for Shams. And then I have another poem in the other section that I think is literally specifically for Shams. And I'm going to read that one. Where have you gone, the settler of my soul? Did you fly away or hide in your home? As soon as I saw you, the loyalty of my heart, you turned around and flew like a bird. Your vision captured the wandering of our spirits, then away from the crowd, you journeyed into solitude. You went away so quick, as though you were a morning breath carrying a flower's aroma. But you really didn't fly away, as a bird or a breeze. You were created from God's light. You went immersed in his glow. Very romantic. But sometimes you have friendships like that where it's just really intense and you just really love each other. I just watched a TikTok about like taking your friend on a date and holding their hand and stuff, and people were like, "Y'all ain't just friends." But I can understand like seeing. I know it's like very borderline at points, with certain friendships, but sometimes you just really love your friends. And I feel like I'm a very affectionate person, so I'm sure people could see me and be like, yeah. All right, so the rest of the book, literally page, what was it, 20? Yeah, 20 to 127 is called Dancing the Flame. I can't read today. Also, I want to talk about this book. It looks so pretty. I got this in a bookstore called Chop Suey in Richmond. And I'm going to read the poem that made me buy this book. I might read it because I wrote based off of it in another poem, so I might read it last. But it just looks so nice. And they have love. It says in the back that they have poems about love and about spiritual poems. So they have these two, the love and the spiritual. So I will definitely look that up because it just looks so nice. And I really like this poetry. So I'm going to talk about the ones that I put for, okay, so I have Jay, as you guys know, from Great Gatsby. That was the main character, I think. So there's like Nick right here. Not Nick, Jay. Because some of these poems were like weird to me, so I'm going to read them. So this one is called Is a Wasted Play. And I'm going to tell you why this was weird to me. Is a wasted play, tambourine to the deaf. Lock up a beauty idol in the house of the blind. It is a waste to push honey into lips of quivering with fever, or forced marriage of a gay man with a beauty queen. So that last line. Now I think this poem is interesting. Like I feel like it makes sense. Like you won't want to put people or with other people who don't appreciate them. I guess that's kind of the gist of it. But using gay man in this context, I don't think makes sense because I looked it up, and gay man in this context is like a modern term, like in the 50s, because before it was just like, oh, if you're happy or whatever. So I'm like, what kind of translation is this? And I did read on Wikipedia that sometimes the translations aren't exactly right. So I'm gonna read. So that just made me like very curious about that. So there's certain translations in like other languages or even English, which is my language. But sometimes I don't really think of English as a language. I'm like, is it really? But then when you see that people don't speak English, then you're like, oh yeah. Or when I see people at work translating for other people, I see them, oh, they're speaking their language. I don't realize. I mean, I do realize, but I don't ever think of like English as a language, even though it is. I feel like it's kind of basic as like a language to me. But I'm going to read the poem that I 100% think that he wrote for Shams. See if I can find it again. Where's Jay? Oh, here's Jay. Okay. So I think this 100% he wrote this for Shams. It's called I Was a Pious Preacher. I was a pious preacher. You changed me to a poet. And in me you instilled rebel rousing and drunkenness in every feast. I was a solemn man of sustained prayer. You made me the playing object of street children. That is for Shams 1,000,000%. So if you're wondering what happened to Shams, I looked it up. Uh, they're pretty sure he died, pretty much. But I think it was kind of mysterious because he just disappeared and then was never seen again. They do have like a statue of him because he was a big poet at the time, and but I don't know if he actually has a. They actually found his body or like him. From what I researched, I don't think that they did. So that's kind of creepy. But yeah, so that's what I really feel like. That's really interesting that he had this really strong bond and it like changed his whole life. And I feel like that's how some friendships can be. You can meet someone and they just like change your whole life, and it's like really good for you. But yeah, I'm gonna show. So I'm gonna read my favorite poems in these two sections, two of them. And these are the ones that I wrote to. This is the one that made me buy the book. I just flipped to it and I read it and I was like, I already had two books in my hand and I was like, oh, I'm just get these two. But I really want to get a poetry book. And I was looking at this other one, but I was like, I don't know. Then I saw this book and I was like, oh, it looks really pretty, you know? And then I opened the page to page 117 and read this poem and I was like, I have got to buy this. So it's called I Wish You Happiness. I love it so much. I wish you happiness and your lips full of smiles. I wish you'd bring joyous moments to soul and hearts of everyone in love. And if anyone sees you but shows no smile, I wish he'd live like a black pen, dark and confused in life. Isn't that great? I feel like he has a lot of poems where he's like kind of being shady. I know like that's not a term that was back then either, even though I was just talking about the gay term. But it's just so funny, like how he's kind of being like snide about certain things. I think that I just love that poem. It's just so funny. I just love the last line. I wish he'd live like a black pen, dark and confused in life. That's what I wish for all the people who don't like me. If you see me, you don't smile. Wish you live like a black pen, dark and confused in life. That's all. That's like a great insult. I'm gonna use that one day. But anyway, my other favorite one, which was literally the last poem in the book that I wrote to, is called If You're in Doubt. And I think it's so sweet. If you're in doubt of my flame, touch your face with my face for a moment. So that's it. That's the whole poem. I thought that was really sweet and like I said, friendship love and regular love, of course it varies. Of course it's different, but you know, it can go over the edge, right? And some people start off as friends and then they fall in love. So, but yeah, overall, I would recommend this book. Some of the translations by Nita Khalili, I was a little about. So I don't know, but as you can see by my bookmarks, I liked all the poems. The ones in the beginning, like I said, are more passionate and much longer. And then, not saying that the shorter ones aren't passionate, because the one I just read, I felt like was really passionate. But it was just really nice. And then all the pages looked nice and stuff. So, if you can get this version of the book, I'd recommend it. And I would love to read the love poems and spiritual poems. And he talked about God a lot. And he also talked about Christianity and Judaism. It was just really interesting. Like, there were a lot of poems about God. So he was very religious man. Well, I guess it would be spiritual, because I looked up, because they had the word Sufi in here. Apparently it's like Islamic mysticism. So yeah, so I would 10 out of 10 recommend, because especially if you want to read I Wish You Happiness, because that's the ultimate insult. So yeah, so now I'm going to get into the poems that I wrote. So since they were short, I wrote two. And of course I wrote it in my notebook, being old school, this month. So of course it's called I Wish You Happiness, the one I wrote. So I took some of it and I was trying to change it up. I don't think I changed it up that much, but hey, that's what happens when you write imitating another poem. So here we go. I wish you happiness and lips full of smiles. I wish you'd bring loving moments to souls and hearts of everyone in love. And if a hater sees you but doesn't show love, I wish he lived like a black hole, lost and far away from you in life. I throw a little modern twist in there. Because, yeah, like black holes, if you get stuck in one, you gone. So that's what you want. You want people who don't like you to be gone, to be out of your life. You don't want no friends who aren't really your friends, but they're around you because y'all look good together, which I saw that on TikTok. Somebody was like, I want a friend who's like, has the same aesthetic as me. Not like what their personality is like, but only what they look like or what they can do for you. Because I saw following someone who talked about that too, how people wouldn't pay attention to her because they weren't her aesthetic, but then they saw that she had a bunch of TikTok followers or that she had millions of likes or something, and then all of a sudden they wanted to be friends. So I agree with that. Don't be no fake friend, y'all. All right, so then the next one's called If You're in Doubt. If you're in doubt of my love, place your hand on my heart for a moment. Isn't that cute? So, I feel like that's kind of cliche, like, oh, you could put your hand in my heart and feel my love for you, but, I mean, hey, you can. And I'm also, like, a very, like, loving friend. Like, if I love you, I'm going to tell you kind of, like, frequently. Like, I forgot. Oh, my dad's ex-fiance, one time I was on the phone with one of my best friends, and I was like, I love you. You know, we say, I love you, you know, when we hang up the phone or whatever. Or love you, you know. And she was like, I don't know if she was saying now or when she was younger. She was like, I would never tell my friends I love you. That's so funny. And it's like, hey, they could drop dead tomorrow. You ain't telling them you love them? Hey, gotta do it. But yeah, so that's Rumi. I'm honestly also bought this because I know Beyonce's daughter is named after Rumi, and you know I love Beyonce, so I was intrigued by knowing that fact. And then when I read I Wish You Happiness, I was like, I got to get it. So yeah, if you like Rumi, what's your favorite poem? If you don't like Rumi, why don't you like him? I don't really have any cons for this one other than the sections were weird. Like one section is 10 pages and the other one's like 100 pages. So other than that, and then some of the translations, I was like, But I feel like that's kind of like a thing when you're translating something from so long ago that's just going to be not exactly what it was or it's modernized. And for the life of me, y'all, I was told about a phrase like in college, in my undergraduate, about putting a modern term like gay man, which was not what we think of it as today. Like they wouldn't call someone who was homosexual gay. They would just call him homosexual, I think, because I was looking it up. But I forgot what, I could never find, and I tried to Google it, and Google failed me. But there's a term for using modern terms on a time period that it wasn't a thing, it didn't exist in. But I wish I could find it. But I cannot find out what that is. But yeah. So, like I said, if you like Rumi, what do you like about him? What you don't like about him? I would love to find the love poem and the spiritual poems. Because I feel like they would be nice. These were really nice. Like I said, bordering on romantic. But sometimes friendships, they can, border on the romantic. So, yeah. Hope you all enjoyed this. I'll see you next week. Hope you all are reading or writing poetry this month to celebrate Poetry Month. And if you're not, you watch my videos. Because I'm making videos on TikTok and on YouTube. So yeah, so check me out. All right, I'll see y'all next week.